And when it's talking about SDGs, I think inclusion for me is including each and every living thing on this planet Earth, and we need to see that everyone is given right, justice, and equal amount of treatment.
On the eve of Valentine's Day 2025, Sustainability Karma explores what this special day means for the LGBTQIA community, particularly in the context of Sustainable Development Goals. This conversation is particularly important given the recent development like the United States of America's move to declare gender strictly as male or female and closer home the Kinder debate. Prominent voices from the LGBTQIA community share their perspectives on what this day means to them and the challenges they face. Their insights highlight a core promise of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. We pledge that no one will be left behind. The goals and the targets will be met for all nations, peoples, and segments of society.
See, first of all, I would like to say that love cannot be defined on the basis of gender, sex, sexual identities. Love is something which is fluid and which should be understood, which should be accepted by all human beings equally without giving any discrimination with regards to sex, gender, religion, caste, creed, etc., etc. So it has no boundaries. So one has to accept that two humans, or rather I would like to use the word souls. We are nothing but souls having a human experience. So it's important that when two souls fall in love with each other, there should not be any bias about it, or people should not be saying that why these two people are in love. Love is something natural which comes between two souls in a very natural way, in a way in which you cannot define it as such. And it is something which is unconditional. It is something which is selfless. So, talking about these terms and these terminologies, I have to say that one should respect each other's love for another person without putting barriers or without putting any kind of restrictions that why you should not love anyone. So when we talk about inclusion, I think it's important to even include even the other communities who have been deprived of the natural love. So when one is going for inclusion and when it's talking about SDGs, I think inclusion for me is including each and every living thing on this planet Earth, and we need to see that everyone is given right, justice, and equal amount of treatment. Is this a man, whether it's a woman, it's a transgender, he may be from any sexual diversity, he may be from any caste, any color. I don't think we should have any discrimination with anyone. When we meet, and I often use this word, which is a Sanskrit word called Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which means the whole world is one family. You don't see any other person as someone different. We are all the same. We are all existing same. We are all born the same way, and we are all going to die the same way. So why have any issue against each other when there is a definition of a question of love coming between two souls? I think this memoir is an example of the SDG, and why I feel that is because this book I feel is a celebration of love. It is a love between, as I mentioned, two souls coming from two different geographical backgrounds, from two different cultures, from two different religious backgrounds, from two different castes, from two different creeds, and yet there is unification of love through the different souls. So that's why it is a sustainable goal where through a memoir we will be able to sustain the love and show the way and guide other people who are striving for one, and be a source of inspiration for others.
Talking about inclusivity and sustainable development goals. I think, in today's day, celebrating love in all beautiful forms, universally inclusive and deeply rooted, is in sustainability. So whether it's honoring LGBTQ plus love stories, or embracing diversity relationships, or choosing ethical and eco-friendly opportunities, regardless of your cultural, spiritual, or ethnic background, everyone plays an extremely important part in moving these gifts forward. Gifts of love, gifts of sustainability. These things should always be intentional and come from each individual person. I really want to redefine Valentine's Day as a celebration of love that lasts, one that is inclusive, responsible, and sustainable for future generations.
So, one of my favorite poems is Audre Lorde's A Litany for Survival. And it goes like this: For those of us who were imprinted with fear, like a faint line in the center of our foreheads, learning to be afraid with our mother's milk, for by this weapon the illusion of some safety to be found, the heavy-footed hoped to silence us. For all of us, this instance and this triumph, we were never meant to survive. And when the sun rises, we are afraid, and it might not remain. When the sun sets, we are afraid. It might not rise in the morning. When our stomachs are full, we are afraid of indigestion. When our stomachs are empty, we are afraid that we may never eat again. When we are loved, we are afraid that love will vanish. When we are alone, we are afraid love will never return. When we speak, we are afraid our words will not be heard nor welcomed. But when we are silent, we are still afraid. So it is better to speak, remembering we were never meant to survive. For me, I think this Valentine's Day and this Sustainable Development Goals target, what it means for me is that people are free to love whoever they want to, irrespective of their caste, their class, their religion, their race, or their gender. We must remember that if we have to celebrate love, if we have to have inclusive futures, we cannot have it unless all of us have an equal playing field, that all of us are able to love freely. What is life if not for love? But then the history of Valentine's Day itself tells us that Saint Valentine was imprisoned for marrying lovers who Claudius the Cruel said could not love. But I have no doubt in my mind that lovers and love will always emerge victorious. History tells us they have always done so. Present tells us that lovers continue to fight back, and future will bear testament to the fact that lovers will win. I think for me, out of all 17 SDGs, no poverty, zero hunger, good health, well-being, education, gender equality, clean water, sanitation, and all 17 of those, I think unless there is love at the center, there can be nothing. How do you achieve gender equality without being free to love? How do you love freely when you have no access to water, sanitation, or education? How do you love freely when you don't have decent economic growth? So for me, every single SDGs is connected with our freedom to love. And unless we have all of those, we cannot truly love and we cannot truly be loved.
Hi, For Valentine's Day 2025, my wish list in the context of the Sustainable Development Goals would be the celebration of love, equality, inclusion and equity, particularly for those who are the most marginalized. Here's what I would like to see. In SDG 10, which is on reducing inequalities, I would like to see a world where loving is possible without barriers. A world where LGBTQ+ individuals and all marginalized communities experience love and acceptance without fear, discrimination or stigma. Businesses are committed to policies that protect and uplift marginalized identities in workplaces and public spaces. For financial inclusion, we look at decent work where banks and financial institutions are able to establish credit lines and financial aid for communities to be able to pull themselves out of the trap of poverty and financial exclusion and to make India a truly great economic powerhouse. The pledge for 2025 Valentine's Day is that we will leave no one behind. The goals and the sustainable development targets must be met for all nations and people and for all segments of society. This is the central promise of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development.
When we speak, we are afraid our words will not be heard nor welcomed. But when we are silent, we are still afraid.
Hope you like this program. We look forward to your feedback on our WhatsApp number 9818120554. For participation in this program, write to us at sustainability.karma@gmail.com. Looking forward to meet you again at the same time next week with a new episode and a new guest. Till then, goodbye from all of us. Sustainability Karma, a podcast series on sustainable development, sustainability and ESG.